All right, good to go.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Real Life Bowling Podcast number 8. We are very happy to have probably one of the most influential people in the industry over the last 10 years, arguably, Mr. Cliff Barnes. Thank you for being with us, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Thanks for having me. I love what you guys are doing with the show.
We appreciate
We
that.
appreciate that greatly.
For those of you that don't know, Cliff is the owner of Bowlersmart along with Coolwick, and we have him here today to kind of just tell us how it all got started, where we're going to be going in the next couple weeks with the Proshops, and what the plans for the future are. So, Cliff, it's all you, man. Go for it.
All right, yeah, coming straight from my closet today. So, hanging out here in my new presidential office that I have in my closet. So, yeah, I guess it all just really started. My mom got me into a bowling league back in '89. They built Langlo North. It was like the newest, fanciest, had all the new bells and whistles right on Ridge Road in Port Richey, where I grew up at. And they built this brand new bowling center, and my mom was a bowler. She averaged, she was like 160, 500 club participant. Like, she liked to bowl the little local tournaments and stuff. So she got me into bowling right when they built that bowling center, because it was literally like a mile from the house. So just started bowling, really started enjoying it. Like, it was a good way to just kind of get away from everything, and I was decent at it. We didn't have any money, so I always used the brown 8-pound house ball, and I had a pair of rental shoes that the lady at the desk let me take home. So I spray painted them blue. So I had, like, Orlando Magic was my favorite team back then, so I spray painted them blue and silver, like the Orlando Magic colors. So, but anyway, I got started bowling then, really just fell in love with it. And, we had a few really good pro shop operators in the area at the time. We had Lou Marquez. Lou Marquez had a shop at Langlo North. Joe Lavoie had a shop. Joe Lavoie, if you guys don't know who Joe Lavoie is, Joe was really big in the area. He was a great bowler, good ball driller. He was pretty well known in the industry. And then Chuck Cundy had the shop at Langlo. And Chuck and his brother Ron, they were kind of infamous and famous in the Tampa Bay area. So to make a long story short, I started going in the shop all the time at Langlo South. Chuck was like, "You're spending all your money in here," and he knew that it was my money. Like, we didn't have a ton of money growing up, so I'd mow lawns. I would clean houses. I would wash cars. I'd do anything I could to make some money so we could go bowling. And I was like a ball whore. Like, I had a huge addiction to buying new bowling balls. So I would buy a new ball every 3 or 4 weeks. Turbo X, Zones, Werewolves, Turbo A's. Like, I really liked the Ebonite stuff back then. Yeah, the gems. Like, I wish I had some of them now. They'd be awesome. But I was in there all the time, just buying up whatever I could. And he was like, how would you like it if you got the stuff at a discount and you could work in the pro shop, and I'll give you stuff at cost, which will save you a ton of money. And then, I'll teach you how to plug balls, polish balls. Nothing on the press, because I think I was like 13 or 14 at the time. And, I jumped at it. I thought it was great. And at the time, I think I was 14, so this was like 95. I got the job. I started working at the bowl also, like the lane attendant. So, cleaning up trash, being the porter. And I just loved it. Like, it was the greatest thing in the world. I was getting balls at cost in the pro shop, which was amazing. And then I could also work at the bowling center. So I was around all the guys that I looked up to as a kid. And it was just the greatest thing. Like, I was making $5.15 an hour, which was minimum wage, which I thought was great. And I could be around bowling all the time, and I could get stuff at cost. I get a bone every once in a while. They would throw me a ball. That was great. And I knew at that time, it really didn't feel like work. And you don't make a whole lot of money, but you never feel like you're working. So, the trade-off is you love your life, and if you're smart, you're going to make enough money to get by. But it was just the coolest thing. So got a little older, started bowling a little more serious. I tried the PBA regional thing at like 19 or 20. Kind of failed at it. I didn't know anything about ball motion. Like, I knew layouts and drillings and surface. No idea when to throw what. No idea how to read a lane. That kind of education really wasn't around here at the time. So a lot of my buddies were in Orlando. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go to UCF. So I dropped my card for 2 years so I could bowl for college. Went over there to finish my associates. I met my wife. One thing led to another. She got pregnant. So didn't get to bowl for college. We moved back home to Newport Richey. And there was a pro shop at this bowling center. And you guys were from the area. You know,
well, yeah.
Lanes. So we got this, the worst bowling center in the area with the worst pro shop. But it was a place to start. You know, like I'm not going to walk into one of the better bowling centers as a 22-year-old person with no business experience, no pro shop ownership experience, and think that I'm going to get that pro shop. So I tried to get Royal Lanes. You guys remember Royal?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
God, that place was awesome.
Rose, good times.
Yeah, you know, it was a nice little, what was it? It was 24, I think, right?
Yeah.
24. And, you know, it was nice. It was closer to Tampa, and they had decent leagues. Cecil was actually the manager back then.
Yes, I remember that.
Yep, Cecil was the manager. I went down there and interviewed for the pro shop. Didn't get it. They gave it to Dave Tyder, who'd been around the area a little bit, which was the right move. Like, looking back at it, I'd have done the same thing. And then I tried to get into Cypress Lanes at one point. Couldn't get into Cypress. Wow. I forget the guy's name that had it. But it was right before Cagle got it. Obviously the right move. You know, Cagle is a huge name in the industry. So Leisure was it. You know, like, they had really crappy leagues. The surface, like, I remember you could stick pennies down between the boards because it was wood. You know, there was like a inch gap between the gutter caps, or the gutters and the lanes itself. It was just so brutal.
That place was so hard. I remember when I first moved up to adult leagues, I bowled league there, and I was averaging like 230 everywhere in Hernando, and I go there and I was averaging 209.
Yeah,
the place was impossible.
209 was good.
The place was hard back then.
209 was really good.
It sounded different in there too. Like this,
Yep.
It was like you couldn't explain it. It was kind of dark and dingy, and like the pins sounded like they were like marshmallows. It was a weird feeling.
Oh, it was a dungeon for sure. Yeah. Dungeon.
Yeah, you know, the pens probably weighed 5 pounds from all the humidity that was logged in the pens, and the lanes. You know, there's something about that sound when you roll a ball on just solid wood lanes. You know, it just sounds different, and it's old school, and a lot of the younger people probably don't understand what that sound is. A lot of the older people will understand. That sound is just amazing. But so that's where we started at. I had really good credit at the time, so I took a $15,000 check against my credit card out, which was my max was $15,000. So I maxed out the credit card, got a check, gave it to the guy in the pro shop, and that's how we got going. That was 2000. That was on my birthday, October 5th, 2004. So we opened on my birthday that year, and it was rough. Like, I remember doing like $400 days, and it was like mind blowing. Like, we did $400 a day. That was solid. So it was rough times there for sure. But you gotta start somewhere. And then from there, we went to Mariner, which is now Strike City, where most of you guys are from, and that's actually
where I met you. Yep.
Where I met both you guys. I think I might have known Queso before that. I don't really remember, but I really got to know him when we got to Mariner. So
yeah, you drilled my first fingertip ball. I tell that story to everybody.
Yeah, no, I remember you came in. I think it was your mom you came in with, or your grandma.
Yeah, my mom.
Yep, you came in. Queso used to hang out in the pro shop all the time. You know, we were. I mean, how old are you, Queso? 27?
I'm 25.
25. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm 14 years older than you. So Queso would come in the pro shop, substantially younger than we were, and Jason Marr, and we'd be hanging out in the pro shop, and we'd be ragging on Queso, because that's just what bowlers do. They rag on each other.
that is what was going on back then, ragging on Queso.
I remember
that's a pastime for a lot of people.
Queso's mom did not approve, but
did not.
No. But it was good times though, and I mean that shop was a gold mine compared to where we came from. You know, looking back, the shop wasn't a great shop, but it was so much better than where we started.
Yeah, but in those times, that place was actually really good before.
Yeah, Edie Joe had the
Edie Joe had it. Place was great.
She was a old lady Hall of Fame PWBA member, really great bowler, and she knew how to run a really good center. Center changed ownership, and it just was never the same after that. So, but yeah, that's how we got started. And from 2006 till now 2010, we basically, wherever we had opened up a new store, that's where I would go. So I would move. I went from there to Warner Robins. I lived there for 2 or 3 years. Then we opened our third store in Brunswick, Georgia. I'd move there. Then I worked the booth, the Ebonite booth for a year in Reno. So me and my whole family moved out there cross country, which that was a trip. And all along the way, like there's so many things that you do at the time that you don't really think about it. You just do it because it's necessity. Looking back on it, it's like, wow. I slept in a gynecologist office for like 3 months on the floor because it was the guy that owned the bowling center in Brunswick was a doctor, and he had the offices that he would rent out, and he had this office that we rented, and it was a vacant office, but like I would work the alley, I'd work the pro shop, and I'd go home at night. My family still lived 3 hours away in Warner Robins. I was in Brunswick, and I had this crappy little TV that picked up, rabbit ears, so I could watch some TV to go to sleep to, like MASH would come on at night or whatever, just give me some ambient noise, and I would just sleep on the floor of the gynecologist office. I did that for 3 months until we could figure out, how we gonna get my family down to Brunswick. So it was just, you just do whatever you have to do. Like that's just what it is, and everybody out there that's an entrepreneur or ever tried to do something like that, they understand, there's a lot of grinding, and you don't really think about it a whole lot while you're doing it because you don't have a whole lot of options. Like the option is I sleep on this guy's floor on an air mattress until I figure it out, or, I don't do it. I fail. So the option is pretty easy at the time. And we just did a lot of stuff like that. Like I Arthur, BJ Wynn, one of my best friends. You guys know BJ very well.
Yes.
BJ lived in Warner Robins at the time. He started managing a bowling center in Milledgeville, Georgia, which was about 3.5 hours from where we were at in Brunswick. And we hired an employee. I hired an employee in Brunswick. So I needed to do something to make money. So I would drive up 3.5 hours to this place an hour south of Atlanta, and I would work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I would sleep on the floor Saturday night. I worked Saturday through Wednesday. Saturday night, I would sleep on the floor at the bowling alley in the manager's office on an air mattress. So I would sleep there. And, BJ worked Sunday night. So I would stay on BJ's couch for like 2 or 3 nights. And it was just crazy. We did that for 6 months because we had to make money. So just doing whatever odds and end job you had to do at the time just to get by. And, the Ebonite booth in Reno, that was kind of like a turning point for us. We had 2 shops at the time when I went out there to work the booth in 2010. And when I was out there working, 3 stores came available in North Carolina, Greensboro, maybe it was 2. It was Greensboro and Winston-Salem for sure. And that's how I got to know Gerald a little better. So Gerald started working, and then Justin Buford and Mark. Mark Pettit was the first guy that we hired. Mark was working across the street at Pizza Hut in Warner Robins, and he was like 17 or 18. And my buddy Jimmy Yoder was like, hey, he's a really good kid. You should hire him. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'll try, I guess. I'll take a flyer on him. And he's turned out to be great. Like at those early stages like that, like if we would have tried expanding and Mark wouldn't have been, a solid cornerstone to run that store, everything would have imploded, because I relied, like, we're like a family here at Bowlersmart, and we all rely on each other to be successful. So like my success is relying on Mark, and Mark's success is relying on me. Like all of our success is relying on each other to be successful. So, but back to the Reno, the money that I made in Reno kind of allowed us to expand when I got home. And then when I got home, we went into a shop in Savannah that did okay. Like we were still treading water. Like at that time, that was like our 5th or 6th store. And it was just a grind all the time. Like I would always buy these $500 vehicles into the ground. It would crap out, throw a rod through the block, leave it on the side of the road for $50. I would junk it. And then I'd go buy another one at the auction for, $500, $1,000. and you know, we had this thing that was called an Escahoe. Like, you guys know about the Escahoe? It was a '96 Tahoe that I bought. I got at a police auction in Jacksonville that had an Escahoe body kit on it, or Escalade. It had an Escalade body kit on it, and it had shaved door handles. And it had like 20-inch rims, which back in the day, 20s were like, oh my god,
That's the thing.
Had low profile tires. Like, it was a straight drug mobile. Like, it was a confiscated drug raid truck. So the interior, like, all the TVs and the headrests were ripped out. The radio was ripped out. Like, all these wires were hanging from the ceiling. It was like whatever. Like, all I cared about was it had 108,000 miles on it, and I could drive this car for 100,000 miles. I got it for $3,000, and I'm gonna beat the tar out of this thing. I'm gonna run it into the ground for $3,000.
And it can hold a lot of bowling balls.
And it can hold a lot of balls. And it did.
A lot.
God, it did. This one trip me and Gerald made up, we went up to Glen Burnie, Maryland, which is just outside D.C. And Wayne Stepp had the pro shop up there, and he had this room like full of bowling balls that he wanted to get rid of. And Gasson put me on him because Gasson's from that area. So Matt called me up and he was like, hey, I got a friend. He wants to sell all these bowling balls in this room. And he said, you can have whatever you can fit in your vehicle for $1,500. And I was like, deal. Like, I'm on
Bet,
it.
son, bet.
Freaking bet. Let's go. So I swung by Greensboro. I called Gerald. It was like 10 o'clock at night. It was a Friday night, 10 o'clock. I called Gerald. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just got home from the shop. And I'm like, cool, throw your shoes on. I'm outside. Let's go to DC. So Gerald comes running out. And his girlfriend at the time wasn't very happy. She didn't like me a whole lot because we did a whole lot of stuff like this. So we just went up to Maryland. We slept outside. The guy had a freestanding store. We slept in the parking lot of the store. And it was like Bowl America, which don't have pro shops. And he was right outside the Bowl America in this like strip mall. So it was weird. It was like a strip mall, but they had roll-up doors. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. We're like, all right. So we're laying in the back of the Escahoe, like trying to go to sleep. And this dude rolls up and he walks by the truck, and he's got like a piece on him, like he's got a gun. And me and Gerald are like, oh snap, like this just got real interesting. So we're watching this guy, and he just rolls up into this like storage unit and rolls up the door, and he starts setting these tables up. And he's just putting these tables up. It's crazy. It was craziest thing. So he's setting these tables up, these folding tables, and then he starts putting like, Santa Claus salt and pepper shakers, and like a T-Rex puzzle set, and a pair of shoes, and just random crazy stuff. So we're like, look at this dude. Now it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're laughing at this guy. Like, he's setting up 40 tables, thinking he's going to have this huge flea market yard sale or something. So we go to sleep, and the sun comes up, and it gets real hot in the truck. So we wake up, and it's like 7:30, and we wake up, and there's literally like people like peeking in the windows, like looking at us while we're laying there. Bro, the guy's packed. Like, he must have had 100 people there, like in this flea market sidewalk sale. And we hop out. Anyway, we run. It was just crazy. The whole thing. We run in there.
That story went a different way. That was crazy.
It was just so entertaining, like it was exciting, but just nuts. So we go in there, and I really, like, I never felt like we were looting a store before. Like, I felt like we were looting the store, like, because it was just like whatever you could fit in your truck for $1,500, So it's like when the store has that sale, and it's like you buy this bag for $50, and anything you jam in it, you can keep. So we're just jamming balls in this Escahoe. And there's a picture on Facebook somewhere. We put 244 balls in this truck. And we put like 10, it was like 10 per row. I think we had like 20 rows. We took all the seats out, and then we had balls on the center console. We had balls in our lap. Gerald had balls in his lap. Like, it was crazy. Like, everywhere you could stick a bowling ball, we had it. Underneath my legs while I'm driving. It was so unsafe, but you you just do whatever you had to. Like in the truck literally like drove like this down the highway. So it looked like, we're driving down the interstate and we're driving around like, the Washington Monument, and it literally looks like we have like 2,000 pounds of explosives in the back of this truck. I was like, there's no way we're getting home without getting pulled over. Like, we look so suspect. Shaved door handles, pearl cream paint job, 20s. Like, we look so shady. But, we made it.
So during this time
That's
of
good.
like struggle and all this, what kept you going? Did you have this vision of owning a ton of pro shops? Did you have like a goal or like an end goal in mind? Like, what kept you going during the sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the air mattress, fitting all the bowling balls in the Escaho? Like, what was the motivation?
The motivation, I just have this love for bowling. Like, it's passion driven. I remember as a kid, there used to be a place called Bowler's Warehouse. I don't know if you guys were old enough to remember that.
Slightly remember that.
But it was in Clearwater, and it was a distributor in the back, and it was like this massive pro shop in the front. And you went in there, they had everything you wanted. It was amazing. And I remember going there as a kid, and then as I got a little older and I started getting into the pro shop, you have these visions of like, I don't understand why pro shops aren't more retail oriented. Like, why aren't they clean? Why don't they have good stock? Why isn't everything priced? Why aren't the people friendly? Like everybody acts like they're miserable when you go in for the most part. Like, why aren't they friendly? Why don't they want to share the passion and the love for the sport they have with everybody that comes in the door? And the whole time that was the vision. And like I said, I never really felt like I was working because I loved what I was doing, and there were no options. Like, I didn't have a 4-year degree. At this point I had 2 or 3 kids at all times. Like, there were no options. So like, I felt very fortunate that I could do something that I loved, even though my back was against the wall at all times. I'm pretty stupid, I guess. Also, like, looking back at it, I'm like, man, everything could have went wrong at all times. Like, it was going wrong. You didn't even know. You were just so blind to it. But you just, at the time, you don't really think about how bad it is. You just plow through it. And the vision's always to provide this retail quality customer service experience for everybody that comes through the door. And that's always been my goal. So, and it's really cool growing up also. Like, I talked about family a little bit. Like, I always wanted a large family and like a really good family unit coming from a broken home. And I feel like this is another outlet of that, like, because we have a great family. Like, everybody we work with is like family. Like, you guys are family. Like,
Great time.
like I know all of you guys. I know all of you guys as much as I know any of my family for the most part. Not a lot of you guys I talk to more than I talk to my own wife sometimes. So,
Sure, she's happy
so
about that.
people ask me that, like, is it 100? Is it 50? Like, where's the end game, or what's the goal, or what keeps you going? And at the end game, what keeps me going is just trying to make everybody aware that bowling is a great sport. Like, everything I have that's good in my life came from bowling. Like, I met my wife through bowling. I met you guys through bowling. I've created a
Same.
life from bowling. Bowling pays my rent. Bowling pays my mortgage. Bowling pays for the air condition I have right now, my lights. Bowling has provided everything that I could ever want in life. And I've never felt like I've worked a day for it, even though I work nonstop. So I just always thought that we're kind of doing people an injustice if we don't provide a gateway for them to maybe have the same opportunities that we've been afforded. And I really think the pro shop's one of the front lines of that, besides the bowling center itself.
Yeah. Bowling this kind of like reinvigorated bowling for me, because I'm pretty negative about bowling sometimes. So the pro shop, crazy. I know, shocking. But yeah, like taking over the pro shop and doing all that stuff, it's a different perspective that you really don't get to when you're on the other side of it and you're just solely bowling for the next strike, for the next, for that win. But when you're just bowling from that perspective, it gets so draining so quickly,
Right.
because it's so hard. It's just so hard. But when you have your hand in multiple parts of this industry, it gets a little bit easier, gets a little pain tolerance is a little bit lower. You can actually like, okay, well, I got the pro shop, now I'm bowling, and you get multiple streams, so then it's all right.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and like you said, when you're only bowling for a paycheck, like in your next meal is coming from how good you throw this ball, there's not a whole lot of balance there. So,
when it's good, it's great, and when it's bad, it's bad. Like there's
feast or famine.
Yep.
But now you have the opportunity where, you're getting a steady paycheck from working and you get to go bowl competitively. So you just I don't know, I felt like I had more appreciation for everything because I was a little more balanced, and I know a lot of the guys feel the same way. It's more of a work-life balance, competitive balance. So like everything in life is a balance. Burn yourself out if all you do is just one thing all the time.
Truth.
Yeah, the pro shop's definitely given me a different perspective, like dealing with people and then transforming into like the coaching and things like that. It's like Chris said, it really helped when it was like I was bowling a ton. It kind of helps bring things back where if I had a bad weekend, I could go in on Monday and I could drill a kid his first bowling ball and he'll throw his first strike and you see how happy they get. And it kind of eases the weekend of I didn't bowl very good, but I'm doing something that makes a difference. So for me, the pro shop has definitely helped a lot with it's taken away the waves and it's kind of even things out. Like you said, it just makes
that's exactly 100%.
It puts perspective on the whole thing. Like it's not just me bowling. It's if I'm in a pro shop, I'm helping everyone in their bowling, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, you're helping the community. And
exactly.
Like the thing that like the crazy thing about it is you never know like who you're gonna give time to, who you're gonna help out. You never know what they're gonna do with it. So like like I drilled you your first fingertip ball, and here we are, 15, 20 years later, and now you're in the industry and you're making a difference in other people's lives. Like you don't know some of those people you're making a difference for in their life. They could be the next Belmo. They could be the next proprietor of a bowling center. They could be the next pro shop owner. They could be the next guy that's going to really get into the industry and make a difference. So like the more you give back, the more bowling has an opportunity to flourish because there's more people coming into the industry, into the sport, and they see it through our eyes, like how great it is and how much we love it.
Exactly. And from our perspective, like I'm obviously age-wise in between you guys. So like I remember when bowling was on, death's leg, that 08, 09 area. I mean, bowling was just dead. Everyone was negative about it. I mean, everywhere you look, there's negativity. In the last, 3-4 years, I mean, with Bowling Federation and stuff like that, it's so
right. And UVA,
people are so happy. Yeah, and people are so happy about it now. Yeah, everyone's excited about bowling again, and that's something that I definitely did not see most of the years growing up in bowling.
Yeah, there was this lull where you had the old heads, like some of the older guys from the PBA, and then from let's face it, really from like 05 to 12 or 13, competitive bowling was really struggling. The PBA was struggling, local tournaments were struggling, everything was really struggling. So you had a lot of the guys that were really sour that remembered how it was from the 80s and 90s. And then you had a lot of the young kids who kind of feel like they didn't have an opportunity to do anything with it, so why waste my time? Like, why am I going to be a competitive bowler? Like, I can't make a living doing this. Why am I going to do this? So, like, guys like Polizzi, and then,
smack dab in the middle of that, yep.
There was, like, the exempt field, so, like, you really couldn't go earn an exemption anyway, Like, it was a really weird time for bowling, and now that was the bottom, and everything goes in cycles. So bowling was great, 60s and 70s. It hit rock bottom, in my opinion, right around that time we're talking about. Now it's on the upswing. So, and there's a lot of new money coming into bowling, and bowling's starting to be accepted by more people as, a sport, and it's starting to be accepted as something that's casually fun to do, and it's
a bit more entertaining than it has been in the past.
People right, and a lot of people knock, like the round ones and the main events, and the Bowlmores, the real recreational type of bowling centers, but it puts the product, which is bowling, out in front of people that might not, even be noticing bowling.
That has always been my point. That has always been my point because people. How did we all start in bowling? We all started casually at no one starts bowling from, oh, I'm just going to be a professional bowler. No one starts there. You need both.
Right.
And when people don't know, I've never understood that. You need both sides of it.
Yeah,
you gotta grow each other.
Like, and the other part of that time frame that we were talking about, I really believe this firmly that there was like the cycle where a lot of the proprietors were pulling money out of the bowling center and not reinvesting. So, you got these centers that didn't reinvest the money into the bowling center, and now they have to charge dollar games because the center is trash. So the only thing they have to give the customer is cheap. And when all you can offer is cheap, you got one leg in the ground. Like, you got one foot already in the grave. So with those guys going out and new money coming in, I think it's great. Like, I love seeing some of these main events and round ones and, these new type of entertainment centers coming in, because it puts it out in front of new people. And then, we're fortunate around here. We have some really good proprietors, and they understand, league bowling is important. So, and I think AMF understands that as well now. Like,
they learn that for sure. You notice them.
Right,
it
can't be all or nothing. Like, it can't be, we're getting $7 a game for open play, so we're just going to do that, Wednesday night at 7:00. No one's coming Wednesday night at 7:00. So it's just like anything else. You have your peak times, which is the weekend, and then you have your off peak times, which is league. The league. Like, I want to bowl Wednesday night at 7:00. I don't want to bowl Friday night at 10:00.
Yeah, I could do something on Friday night.
Right,
I hate doing shit on Wednesday.
And like the competitive bowlers like us, and I'll admit I was one of those guys. It was hard for me to understand. Oh, they charge $7 a game on Friday night. Oh my God, who's going to pay that? No one's going to pay that. Well, that's because I'm used to paying. I grew up in that era like you guys, where I got used to dollar games, and I got used to 25-cent hot dogs, and I got used to the guys that were going out of business, giving it away. So, we had to break that. We had to break that mindset as well. So I think now people understand, if I want to bowl $12, $13, $14, $15 lineage, well, is the center nice? Like, I don't mind paying it if I see the money's being reinvested. I'm okay with it. If the shot's good, if the air conditioning's on, if the beer is cold and fresh, it's a product like everything else. Like, you get what you pay for. There's plenty of places, like I see sometimes, and you guys have seen it, like your league, oh, well, we're going over here because they offered, cheaper lineage. And then they're right back the next year because they were like, oh, the AC never works and the approaches suck and the oil pattern sucks and the machine sucks and everything sucks. Well, it's $8, guy. Like, you pay $8 a week for lineage. Like, there's no money for them not to make it suck. So it's what it is. So, and I think it's an exciting time for us in the industry because a lot of people are reinvesting, and a lot of people are breaking free of that mindset like we had, where if it's not $1.50 games, I don't want it. So
yeah, people seem to finally be getting back to like I will pay for something better. Because for so long, I mean, obviously it had to do with the economics of the time too, but it was, it just needs to be cheap. Cheap is the only thing that matters to me because I don't want to spend money right now. Right. And definitely in the last couple of years, it's been like, oh, well, I'll spend the extra couple bucks to get, something better. I mean, we see that in the pro shops all the time. That guy, oh, well, I can go get it down the street, go to the garage and get it for $20 drilled. Go do it.
Dude, I used to have this guy. This guy, he would go elsewhere. I won't name where. He would go elsewhere and get all of his balls drilled, and then he would bring every one of them to me to reslug. And I asked him, like, Robert, can I ask you, like, why don't you just let me drill your ball? And he's like, well, because if they drill it and then I bring it to you and pay you $15 to reslug it, I'm saving $3. And I was like,
oh my God,
that's a lot of work.
I'm like, well, your math is flawless. Like, I can't deny that. But at the end of the day, like, you're not going to win those guys. Like, you're just not. So I smile. Like, I know where that guy's coming from now. So I didn't berate the guy. I just smiled and was like, yeah, no problem, Robert. I'll have your ball done in 10 minutes, like, cool. But, getting back to what we're saying, I think a lot of times also, like, as scratch bowlers, we always try to invoke our mindset on everything bowling related around us. So I'm a scratch bowler. Oh my God, I'd never pay $2.29 for a bowling ball. Oh my God, I'd never pay more than $2 a game to bowl. Oh my God, lineage is how much? I'd never pay that. And then we're just conditioned. We were conditioned to that, for one. And then two, well, you got to look at it from, like, my next door neighbor, like, he's not a scratch bowler. So my next door neighbor, he just sees it as entertainment. So he doesn't know what we know, like that I could get dollar games 20 years ago. He just walks in. Does it smell nice? Does it look nice? Are the people nice? Does it look like an inviting environment? It's $7 a game. Whatever. I'm gonna bowl 2 games. You know, they're gonna spend $14 and then $5 for shoes. They're gonna spend $20 for a family of 4. It's like 2 or 3 hours worth of entertainment. Family of 4 drops $100, and it's just like going to the movies or anything else, really.
That's
like,
exactly right.
You know, where are you gonna go? Like, I have a family of 5. Every time I go out to eat, you know, I feel like it's half my paycheck. So, like, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go and drop less than that for any kind of entertainment nowadays? Like, it's on par with everything else that everybody does for entertainment. And when you look at it from that perspective, like, dude, I think it's great. Like, I think it's awesome because they're reinvesting that money back into bowling. So,
yeah, I don't think people respected bowling as much as they did everything else that they wanted to pay that higher dollar for, because like you said, for so long it was, here's $1 a game. The fan doesn't work. Oh, you're going to fall down on the approach. But now, like you said, the proprietors are kind of working things back around a little bit, but people still have that mantra. Like we've heard it, they call it bowling alley. They think people are fat, smoking, drinking. They have this mantra that bowling it's not an athletic sport. It's not a clean thing to do. It's not a fun thing to do, but that's really starting to change. I think a lot
Absolutely.
with Bowlmore too.
Bowlmore a lot, and tour a lot. I mean, name a fat, overweight guy on tour. Name one successful one right now.
Yeah, not a
0.
whole lot of them.
Dude, they are athletes on tour. Dude, their workout regimens. I mean, do we know those guys? Do they bust their
AJ
ass
works
every
out
day?
like a monster.
Yes. I mean,
Dude, it's the evolution of the game, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm a big basketball guy, so I'm watching The Last Dance right now, and you know, I found it very entertaining watching it through like a different lens than just the typical fan lens. So, like, I remember the first game I ever watched as a kid was Jordan dropping like 63, I think, on Bird. And at that time, I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And then I remember as a kid watching it, and I'm like, why can't this guy get past these skinny dudes? You got the skinny 6'10" white dude, Bill Laimbeer. Like, you know, Isaiah Thomas looks like a midget compared to everybody else. Like, why can't Jordan's the greatest? Why can't he get by these guys? You know, well, obviously he needed some more pieces, but also, like, if you guys watch the documentary, he says, I realized I needed to get stronger. Like, I needed to get more physically fit, and all the guys around him. Like they all started working out and getting big, because the Pistons were just beating the hell out of them. You know, and that was the deal. Like, if Jordan brings it in this paint, you take his head off, and that's how we're dealing with this guy. And that's what they did. So Jordan and everybody realized, like, hey, we need to get strong. And bro, like, if you look at Jordan from like 89 to 90, you know, you can see like he's just his frame is so much bigger. You know, he just bulked up, and the rest of them did too. And I think bowling, any sport on a high level, is the same way. Like, you have to train, you have to work at it. You know, you got to put the time in off the lanes in the gym. You know, you got to eat right. Like, you just do. You know, and the guys that are serious about it, like, why would you not do it? You know, like, you don't want to give anybody a competitive advantage over you. So if you're really serious about tossing this rock to make a buck and beating this guy, like, you just have to do it. And all the guys that are out there now that are really doing it, like Belmo, dude, Belmo looks great. Like, if you watch a video from Belmo from like 07 or 2010, you know,
different
like,
person,
right? He's a lot chunkier. You know, he doesn't look as fit. You look at him now, it's like, wow, you know, like, he's getting older too, so he's got to take better care of himself to stay in top shape. You know, it's really important. So, and it's cool to see like people taking that more serious now.
Yeah, and it's definitely good for the sport, because people are actually like, oh wow, that amount of time needs to be put into it, and it just helps the image overall. And that's what we need. It was an image issue. It was always an image. It was a mismanagement issue from way back in the day, because money was coming in hand over fist for so long. People got lazy. They didn't change, and then the image just kept going down with that. And now we're finally going back up. Let's just hope this whole situation doesn't undo all that progress.
I don't think it will. Like, I was nobody knows what to think right now. You know, everybody's nervous, everybody's worried. You know, at first I thought, you know, they were just going to like open the floodgate and everyone was going to run back into the bowling alley. And then as we got closer to that time, I realized, you know, that's so far from the truth. What's really going to happen? And now, you know, I think there's definitely going to be some measures. Like I know in the pro shop, we're going to take some precautionary measures. You know, obviously with the masks and trying to make sure everybody stays. Queso's got his mask on. So everybody, you know, we got to enforce, you know, the social distancing. We got to make sure before and after every hand we measure, we're going to have to use, you know, hand sanitizer. Like we're going to have to change the way we do things a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to change. I don't think it's really going to change the direction that the industry is going in. You know, I think one of the hurdles proprietors are going to have is really changing that perception that the house balls, you know, you got all these people sticking their nasty feet in the shoes and nasty fingers in the house balls. Like they're going to have to figure that out. Like if I'm a proprietor right now, I'm worried, how am I going to change that perception? And then I know on my side and our side from Bowlersmart, I'm looking at it, you know, how are we going to get out in front of people and really start pushing ball bag and shoe packages and having your own ball and having your own pair of shoes, you know? And I've always felt this way. I can't really think of an industry, think of a sport or anything that's recreational where it's more important to have something that's really fitted to you more than a bowling ball. Like what else is out there that's more important? A basketball, a football, a baseball bat, you know, like a baseball bat, kinda, because it could be too long or the wrong weight. Golf clubs, maybe.
A little, yeah.
You know, kinda. But it, you know, if I'm a 7-year-old kid and I have a 16-pound ball with, you know, a 5-inch span, I can't throw that thing.
Exactly. You're not going to do physical damage if the golf club's going to be uncomfortable. The golf club's, oh, well, it's too short. You know, it's not going to do physical damage to you.
It won't hurt you. And it will make, like, it will make the activity you're doing the most god-awful thing you've ever experienced. You know, like, if you're a recreational bowler with, you know, small hands or medium-sized hands, the only thing you can fit into is a 10-pound ball, but you might be a, you know, 200-pound man. So, like, you're throwing this 10-pound ball, it really doesn't fit right. It's terrible. So I just think a bowling ball is one of the most important things someone can have on their own. And then you get the argument from people, well, I only bowl, you know, I don't bowl that often. Or, well, let me tell you, I haven't golfed in about 7 years, but I still have my own golf clubs and a pair of golf shoes because, you know, that was just the thing to do at some point in my life. And everybody usually has a set of golf clubs because they go golfing once a year or twice a year. So I just think it's going to be even more critical now when we get back in the store to try to really, for the proprietors to push sanitary, the perception that the balls are sanitized and clean them properly, and for us to be pushing, you know, ball bag and shoe packages. Absolutely. So it's going to have to get that figured out.
So with that being said, what do you think, or what is your next like step or plan for the future with Bowlersmart and Coolwick? Where do you see us going in the next couple of years? Like what's the plan? To just keep growing, or did you have any bigger things that you wanted to accomplish in the next couple of years?
I mean, a lot of the focus the last couple of years has been Coolwick and the apparel. You know, I felt there was a little bit of a gap where, you know, we could step in and do some things a little differently that a lot of the people in the industry could, you know, really gravitate to. I think it's pretty neat. And then Coolwick's grown a lot the last 12 months.
Exploded.
Coolwick's done well. So, you know, we've tried to take some of those values that we have at Bowlersmart and interject them with Coolwick, and it's been successful so far. So, as far as the Bowlersmart side, we put a lot of time and resources into the website, trying to make the user experience online better. We launched a new website last year. We got some pretty cool things in the works right now that we're doing with the website. A lot of integration between the website and the stores. So getting that all worked out. So it's more of a seamless experience between the retail store and the online experience. And then our warehouse, you know, it kind of set us back a little bit, you know, with COVID. We had a fund set aside for the warehouse that we had to deplete for payroll. But
thank you for that.
Yeah, well, it was just the right thing to do. Like,
best boss in the world, man. right here.
You got X amount of dollars. You got X amount of dollars that you can use for, food and the family, or building a new warehouse. It was a no-brainer. Like it wasn't even a question of what to do. So I've been talking to the banks, and I'm pretty close to securing some funding to build the warehouse for a construction loan.
Cool.
So that'll be the next phase, is just kind of making things more streamlined, the customer user experience, making it better, and just really solidifying what we're doing with the channels that we have right now.
And that's something no one is doing in the pro shop industry anywhere. There's
Right.
no real retail experience. I mean, what you're talking about is what retail stores have been doing for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. Bowling is just so far behind in that aspect that you're on the forefront here, and it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Like,
well, we're not doing anything that's rocket science. Like
exactly.
everything that we're doing has been done in every other major industry for years, like you said. So, like, I laugh sometimes. People are like, "Oh yeah, Bowlersmart, and they're doing this, and it's cool." And I'm thinking, this is stuff that's been done for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Like everywhere else. Like, I'm just, we're just figuring it out how to bring it into our industry. That's all we're doing. We're not doing anything, mind blowing or groundbreaking. We're just doing it in our industry. So, when a guy much smarter than me that I listen to, he calls it industry disruption. Like we're being industry disruptors by doing this stuff. And at the end of the day, I think a lot of the stuff that we do, it makes everybody else around us better as well, because it gives them ideas. It makes them step their game up a little better. Maybe they see what we're doing and we're being successful at it, and then they can, rip off a little bit of what we're doing, so they're more successful. And when everybody in an area is more successful, everybody wins. So, like, a lot of people have this ideology that, if so-and-so down the street's doing really well, then I could be doing better, but he's stealing my customers or he's taking my business. And that's not the case. It's far from the case. And Queso knows this probably better than anybody, because in Brevard County, we have all the pro shops. So, like, I see all those numbers between all the stores. And the first year that we took over all those stores, between that year and this year, like, the growth has been exponential. And if you look at it from the other perspective, you would think, well, the pie is the pie, right? So if there's X amount of sales to be had, all you guys are going to do is steal each other's sales. But the pie has grown every year. So obviously what we're doing is we're growing bowling in our local centers. We're not stealing each other's customers. And that's been something that we focus on with all of our stores, is we want to take care of the people that come into our doors. And then, we're going to let the word of mouth do what it does, but we want to grow bowling, period. We're not trying to steal anybody's customers. We're just trying to make bowling better. And, like, we've went into a lot of markets where we'll go into the market and it's a totally new market for us, and we'll just do what we do. And then a lot of the other shops around us, they'll get a lot better, because we know everybody, or the guy that's running the store knows everybody. And for the most part, it's a pretty friendly environment. Like, everybody in bowling knows everybody. It's a small world.
Small world.
So, like, they'll see what we're doing. Yeah, it's super tiny world. And, like, let's face it, like, the people in your bowling center, they're not leaving your bowling center very often. They want to, wherever people bowl, they want to get their ball drilled there. They want to practice there. Like, that's their bowling center. So, like, if we're helping that pro shop operator be better, whether it's directly or indirectly, we're still making bowling better. So, and we're always there to, like, try to help somebody, like, a lot of, like, we're not trying to hide. There's no secret sauce. Like, everything that we've accomplished, we've done through hard work and passion. So there's no magical sauce. There's no special formula to it. It's just passion and hard work. And we're always willing to help anybody that wants to succeed, as you guys know. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, for people that, I want to say thank you to Cliff, because for people that don't know, like, this channel, we probably would have done this channel one way or another at some point, but with Cliff having us work in the pro shop and giving us that different perspective, we're able to create better content for you guys that are watching because of the experiences that we've been afforded by Cliff, by the pro shop aspect and the coaching and everything like that. So like he said, everyone's helping everyone get better. He's helped us. We're going to try to help you guys by giving you information. And it just goes around 360, and everyone's just trying to make the sport better because
it's all about growing bowling. That's the only thing that matters.
It's all about growing bowling.
It's all that matters.
You know, like, what was the height of league bowling? Like 10 million, 8 million members, whatever it was back in the day.
10 million, yeah.
So, you know, if we had 10 million league members right now, do you think anybody would be complaining about the guy down the street drilling balls for 25, 40 bucks, whatever? Like, no, you'd be worried about what you have in front of you. So, like, if we could ever get back to that point, that's what we need to try to grow bowling to that point where it's just booming and it's doing well. Like, it's getting there. Like, I'd rather have 10% of, 8 million league bowlers than 50% of, 500,000. So, and it's such a misperception in the industry.
That's the best way to see it right there. Absolutely.
Like, everybody wants to be successful together, dude, some of the stuff that's on right now, like your guys' content's good, Stu and Barnesy stuff, Beef and Barnesy stuff's great.
Awesome.
Like, I think, there's always reasons for everything that happens. And I think there's going to be a lot of positives that come out of this quarantine because, the education gap that we didn't really even hit on, like with bowling and competitive bowling, like
that's a whole conversation that has been talked about. The misinformation, the bad information, the lazy information.
There's so much of it.
Yeah. Just some things that have been held for 30 years in this industry that just have no bearing in the modern game that still people preach. And I see it all. I still see it today with coaches around me. It's crazy.
It's wild, so, there's so much content that's good right now out on social media because everybody's locked in a house, like everybody is just sitting in the closet like I am, just watching Facebook, and they're seeing all these people that they aspire to be actually talking about bowling. So, and I think it's two-sided because I think a lot of those guys that might not have put it at the forefront of importance before, now I think they really understand how important it is. So I've talked to quite a few of those guys and they're like, wow, this is really cool. Like now they're enjoying doing it. So they're loving the interaction and seeing their fan base grow. So, we're going to get through this and there's going to be a lot of positives that come from it. I feel it's just, it's helping that communication gap and that educational gap that I think we've seen in the industry.
Because we talked about this before, like the people that really just don't get down on themselves. This situation sucks, right? So it's sitting there wallowing in the situation sucking is not going to help anything. There's obviously positives. People that can use this situation for anything. It could be anything. If you want to lose a couple, you have all the time in the world now to just focus on something, even if it's a little bit of time or a lot of time. So you could really turn this into and that's what we've wanted to do this for so long. But when you're living life, you never, it's like, I'll get to it. You don't slow down. You don't get to it. Like for me, for a while, like there was like 6 months straight. Like I literally didn't have a day off. It was shop, bowl, travel, bowl, shop. For 6 months straight, I did it.
Right.
When I was home, I was like, I'm sitting on my computer and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Now we got to, how to do something productive.
Right. And I think, this has been the perfect opportunity for a lot of people to step back and really, really take a look at what's important, work-life balance, family time. Like I've never spent this much time with my family, like we started Bowlersmart in 2004 and, I had my first son in the same year, 2004, 2005. I'm a terrible father. Like it was 2004, 2005. I don't know. I think it was 2005. I'm sorry. So, ever since my kids have been born, I've never had this kind of luxury where it's just day in and day out. Like we're playing board games, we're playing PlayStation. Some of the stuff that I used to do is I've gotten back into collecting sports cards. So now me and my kids are starting up sports card hobbies. Like I've had time to go through, like I've got thousands and thousands of sports cards. I've had time to go back through them. Jim Callahan is a huge collector. Sean Ryan is a Storm rep with Callahan. So like Jim got Sean back into it. Me and Sean as kids were into it. now me and Sean are back into it, and we're talking cards every day, and now my kids are trading cards with me. We're scouring. We went to the flea market earlier today to go hit up the card shop. We picked up a box of Score Baseball 89, looking for Griffey rookies. Guy had packs for like 50 cents, and then he picked up some 1990 hockey cards. We were looking for like Yager rookies, and it's just, it kind of reminds me of like, I think how the family unit would have been, from 2 or 3 decades ago, where there wasn't as many distractions. There was less distractions. It was a simpler time, and all it was dinner. It was eating dinner with the family, playing board games, and there's so much that we take for granted every day, but at the same time, there's so many distractions, that we let get in the way of what's really important, like spending time with our family. So, I think I really do. I think this has been something that's been really good for a lot of people if they look at the positives from it and not the negatives. So it's been really eye-opening.
Agreed.
Just stuff we take for granted. Like we went to, after the flea market, we went to Tijuana Flats, and we just, finally we can go into the restaurant and order food. And then we were sitting out on the patio. Like we take that for granted. We literally take so much for granted that I think a lot of people our age might not have ever really thought about before. Now we're gonna look at things differently for the rest of our lives because of this. So, I think it's really eye-opening for me. It's been pretty neat, honestly. So
something you never think about that just happens, and just go with it, right? Like you just go with it, and you just kind of see what it actually is doing to you, what life was doing to you before, what life can do for you after. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been pretty neat. So
yeah, we touched on it in the last podcast, how people are waiting to bowl, so they kind of took bowling for granted. And Sean mentioned, he's like, yeah, that's great, and he's like, he hopes that continues more than like 2 or 3 months out, where like people realize how much has changed, and then they kind of change their life to be more grateful for being able to bowl, being able to go to Tijuana Flats with your family, and it kind of cleanses the country a little bit of oh man, we really I've been taking a lot of stuff for granted and been distracted by stuff for so long.
Selfish, distracted attitude was rampant.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think it will. I'm hoping it stays around a lot longer than some of the other things have stuck around for. Like I hope a lot of people take this as a real mindset change, and a character changing thing, because this is it's cool. Like you were saying, this week the bowling alley near us opened back up, a somewhat limited basis. So a lot of people got to go bowling for the first time in 7 or 8 weeks, and just they were so grateful to be able to throw a bowling ball again. Right? It wasn't any disgust, like it wasn't any frustration. It was just like, wow, like I really miss this. So they have this whole new gratitude towards bowling. So there's gonna be a lot of things that come out of this positive, even though it's been tough. Like, and I think it's for a lot of people that it's a mental drain. Like it's mentally challenging. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that as much as it should. The first 3 or 4 weeks, it's like, yeah, all right, yeah, we're gonna get through this, and then, as you get to like week 7, week 8, now it's like cabin fever. Like it's a mental challenge. Like it's a mental marathon. So
I'm good inside. This is my preferred setting. Is in front of a computer. Like this is where I thrive. And I'm like, man, I could really go out. I would like throw a ball. Like I'm lucky. Like I use this to rehab my arm because it was been so bad for so long. So like I kind of got a little reprieve from that feeling of I need to go bowling. If I was 100% healthy, I would have lost my mind a month ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I need to go. But so I kind of I got to cheat it a little bit, but I couldn't imagine if I was like at the height. I was on a hot streak and it just got cut. That would have sucked.
Yeah, that would suck. That'd be tough. Belmo, like I was talking, he's Australia's quarantined for 6 months. So I don't know when. I think it's like September or October, like is when they can finally leave the country. So Belmo's going to be locked down for a minute, and a lot of places are like that. So So yeah, it's just crazy, man, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
so that's pretty much the story of Bowlersmart, with a lot of other crazy stories in between that we don't have time to talk about. But it's been an amazing ride. Like we have an amazing group of people that work with the company. I feel blessed every day to work with you guys. And one of the things that I really look forward to every year is our company meeting that we're not going to get to have this year.
Yeah.
That was going to be a good one too. Detroit would have been fun. But it is what it is. So I feel blessed that we are in a position to where we're going to come through it, and it's not really going to affect us like it could some. I know I've saw, there will be some pro shops that close. There will be some bowling centers that close. A lot of restaurants. There's going to be people in any industry that's going to close because of this. But I just feel very fortunate that we're in a spot where we're going to make it out, and really just looking forward to getting back to work, honestly, with you guys.
Definitely.
Yes, for sure.
All right,
Chris,
okay, so wrap it up. No, man.
All right.
Well, actually, there's one thing I want to add. Cliff Barnes is the man, because one time I watched him bowl a regional with mailbox letters on the back of his shirt.
Oh my God!
I had to bring it up.
Oh, I remember that. That was in my defense. Like they used to have the Spring Hill Regional at Spring Hill every year, the weekend of the Hudson Trade Show. So they had the Hudson Trade Show, and I was on Ebonite staff, and I was working the Ebonite booth, it was the Columbia booth, whatever, it was EBI. So anyway, I'm down here and I'm working, and it's Friday, and everybody is like, oh yeah, practice and the regional, and we're gonna bowl. And I didn't even have bowling stuff, and I was like, no, yeah, why not? Hell, I'll bowl. That sounds like a good time. I haven't bowled in a while. It's like 2007, 6, 7.
Yeah.
So, I paid my entry fee to Harry, and I was like, dang, I don't have a shirt. Like, what am I gonna do? So 6 a.m. Home Depot opens up. I stroll in there. I go to the mailbox aisle, and I grab mailbox letters, and I stuck them on the back of my polo.
It was great.
And Harry, I don't think Harry found it very amusing at first, but if you guys knew Harry, you knew how awesome Harry was. So Harry laughed at the end, but it didn't matter. Like, I donated that week. It was I don't even know why I bowled. Like, I hadn't bowled in like 5 or 6 months, and I was just like, yeah, why not? I'm gonna bowl. So pretty much how my bowling is at all times now. Like, I'll go 5 or 6 months without bowling, and then I'll go bowl a region.
I remember you'd come into the shop at Spring Hill, like, here's a case of balls. Here, we're gonna drill them like this. I'm gonna go throw them. That's it.
Yeah, we were talking, me and Derek, and we had a little party for Derek's birthday last night at the house, and Gerald was here, and we were talking about Jimmy was here. We were talking about the doubles regional in Tavares, and how I bowled with Lewis that one year, and
Yep.
I forget what time we bowled, but anyway, like, Lewis got to the house, and I opened my trunk, and none of my stuff was there because I hadn't used it in months. And I was like, damn, Lewis, like, I don't have any bowling stuff, man. So we went to the bowling alley like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I grabbed a bag of balls that I hadn't thrown in months, and I had no spare ball, and I missed 19 or 20 single pin, multi-pin spares. I missed everything. If I left it, I missed it. It didn't matter what it was. So, and I think Lewis bowled okay, and I think I was like even with no spares. It's just, like we were talking about earlier, like, that's bowling to me now is pure entertainment. Like, it gives me a little competitive juice, it gives me that little bit of, adrenaline rushing when you are kind of close and you need to make a few shots. But it's strictly entertainment. So it's a lot of fun though. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Chris.
I had to.
So, but anyway, no, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and
that was great.
It's always good talking to you guys. I always enjoy chatting with you guys. You guys have a really smart and different take on the industry, so it's refreshing to hear sometimes.
Yeah, we'll appreciate that. We thank you.
That's what we're going for. So, all right, guys. So thank you for watching. If you want to check out these awesome face masks, which we're going to be wearing soon, go to Coolwick.com. We have a bunch of face masks. We got awesome jerseys. This is my custom one. Chris is wearing an awesome Coolwick jersey, so check those out. Make sure you like the video, comment on it if you have any questions. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And we'll see you next week in another podcast.
See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Take care. Thanks, man.